Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel of Truth, Trust and Transparency. And today, for I think one of the first times in deal review history, I'm not looking at a property in Melbourne, Victoria. It has taken me and I'm looking in the New South Wales market, a very interesting suburb that, to be honest, I haven't heard much about. This particular person said it is an on-market live deal at the time of making this. What are their thoughts? They said it's very affordable. Should they dive in and go for it? This is a very interesting one, and for the reasons that you will find out soon. I wouldn't buy it, but let's see why. And if you do agree with me, let me know in the comments. If you disagree or you have any other questions, or potentially you have another site you want reviewed, let me know also, and we can run it back and I can do another video on that. You can send me a message on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Davey Hamilton, or you can comment in the comments. Depends if you want something more private or for everyone else to read. As always, guys, and what I will say is I hope you're getting a bunch of value from my videos. I'm trying to create a video every single day. I'm making this video in October 2025. I'm trying to do a video every single day until the end of the year. So I'm not sure if I will be able to, but let's have a red hot crack at it. Again, if you're getting value or you have any questions or you're enjoying it or you want to support me, the only thing you need to do is hit subscribe. I'm trying to also get to 2,500 subscribers. So we'll see how we go, people, and really appreciate it. And let's dive into this one. So as you guys may or may not know, if you don't know already, the way I like to do these deal reviews is take a little bit of a look or a peep behind the data, run through it in a high level overview, give my thoughts, feelings and emotions out loud on the spot. And then we go into a little bit more of the site specific. So we go large, macro first, then we get down into the micro weeds of it. So what I can see here, I'm using hashtag as usual. What I can see here in Dorigo is the typical price is about 640,000. The price has increased 5.5% over the past year, 2% over the last 3 years, 50% over the last 5 years, and then 125% over the last 10 years. 3.4% yield, with some other really interesting numbers. Super interesting. Let's dive into this one in a little bit more detail. Okay, so Dorigo, typical price, as we said, 650. I've got nothing there on bedroom prices. This is really interesting. Very low RCS score, and capital growth score, and cash flow score. It's the light is flashing orange. You need to find a service station. The reason for that as well is obviously going to be because of medium confidence data. Remember, we always look for high confidence data. What that means is plenty of sales. When we have plenty of sales, it's easier to review the data and then also predict the trend in which it is moving. Think of it this way. If you had a 12-month period and you're looking at a suburb that transacted twice in 12 months, it's very hard to predict for the next 12 months. However, if you've got a suburb that's, transacted 300 times in the last 12 months, you're going to get a lot more data and have a lot more confidence in your decision. So, and this would be why. Dwelling size, 844, tiny. Population, only 1,200. No infrastructure spend. Low school rates. Okay, so growth rate cycle. Wow. Okay. Wow. This is really interesting. This suburb has obviously done absolutely nothing until COVID. So that is a huge red flag. My question to you, if you're looking to buy here, is what gives you confidence that this particular suburb is going to set to boom or set to be a decent suburb to invest in if prior to COVID it had done absolutely nothing? Like, is there something that you know about that I don't know about that I can't see here that tells me you're in for good growth? Now, I'm not sure about the strategy behind this, if it's sort of a short-term hold, medium or long-term hold, but this is not filling me with any confidence so far. ERSAT of 3, not the worst, obviously. 21% rented to owner ratio, predominantly houses. Okay. So here's the interesting part. Years to own is 47 years to own. Wow. That is why, and it tells me property prices are stagnant. It's because it's like, how can people afford to buy there? You know, how can people afford to buy there? Let's look at the rest of the data. There's not much data on this. This is the issue. All right, now the listings have increased. Probably something to know is you look at this and you say, oh, it's increasing. But if you look at the numbers, you know, we've went from one listing in 2020 up to 2 listings. So you know, although it looks bad on the graph, always check the numbers. Days on market is sort of increasing. 73 days on market. Wow. That is incredible. Inventory is increasing. Build approvals is barely minimal. And people are getting in and staying in there. 13 years to own. Vacancy rate, again, looks high, but it just tells me there's just... This is the thing. There's nothing here that screams to me, that gives me confidence in this particular suburb. You know? It just looks like this really, 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 really tiny suburb where there's not much doing, not much happening. Annual rental volume 13, annual sales volume. There's only literally in the example that I just used, there's only a sale a month. A lot of suburbs will have 17 sales a year. A lot of suburbs will have 50, 100, 200, 300, 500, 600, where you're able to pick up a lot more data. Here, that's your issue there. It's unaffordable. It hasn't performed previously. There's nothing here that's telling me it's a warm market or warming up. There's just very low stock and very low confidence. So to me, this is already I'd be pulling out now, just looking at this stuff. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. Now, when we want to look at where Dorrigo is, you're looking between Nambucca and Coffs Harbour. So Coffs Harbour is your regional hub. However, it appears that we are quite some way from Coffs Harbour. You know? Directions. Let's start at Dorrigo. And how long does it take me to get to Coffs? Because it's not, I wouldn't even classify that as, it's an hour drive. So there are also plenty of, what do we have? Health camp. We have a health campus. We have a school. No real signs of train track. We don't have much signs of anything else. You know, we've got the main, this is your issue with investing, and we want to go into markets that we're confident. We want to go into markets that are growing, that, you know, people want to buy in. There is demand to live here. My question to you, if you're looking to buy in this Dorrigo suburb, in this area, is like, what is the pull? Why are people wanting to live here? What is the demand drivers? We know there's not a lot of supply, but where is the demand coming from? You know, looks to be very little to nothing built. And I mean, you can count on one hand the number of streets here. That sort of backs up what we've seen in the data as well. I mean, it looks like we could be house on a hill and all those kinds of things. We've got National Park to the north, basically everywhere. So we're landlocked, which isn't a huge issue because you've got all these paddocks, but just such a very small, tiny concentration. Let's have a look at the asset in particular to see what the status of that is. So for those of you playing at home, it is 20 Myrtle Street, Dorrigo, New South Wales. It's a 3-bed, 1 bath. Doesn't appear to have a car spot for $575. Wood fire. It's got a wood fire and it's got, okay. So first and foremost, a huge slope down towards the front, and I assume the street is down here. It's a bigger slope than I would have liked. I want to know the type of people living there too, because stairs might be a no-go. It is also always great if it drains towards the front, especially for those people out there looking for development sites. Kitchen presents pretty standard, stock standard, clean, tidy, no red flags. Lounge room, wood fireplace, gold, aircon, brilliant, fans, cool. That ticks all my boxes if I am an investor. Bathroom also looks pretty clean and tidy. The mold in the grout would also suggest that it's been like this for a very long time. So obviously, if you had leaks or any recent repairs, you would see it there. Also, because this house is on such a slope, you can get in and have a look underneath the wet areas quite easily. All looks pretty tidy. One thing you need to be careful, especially with these sorts of large furniture items, is what is hiding behind them in the curtains. Something to have a look at the open homes. Same with big, bulky furniture. We don't know what we're going to find. Nothing too bad in there. This is the front sunroom. Yep, and the street was down there like I assumed. Backyard, fireplace. Look, it's neat and tidy backyard. We'll give it that. Nice little outlook. The weatherboard also seems to be in pretty good nick. And it's just on the edge of town. Bedrooms, two of those are a decent size. Living, kitchen. Yep. The floor plan is okay. Floor plan's okay. Let's look at some overlays. So bushfire, no land zone. It's not heritage listed, although some heritages are listed close. We know the topography. No easement dramas. But we can see here, this is almost, 8 to 10 meter slope between front to back. Look, to probably summarize this is one of the quicker ones. The asset itself, I don't see as a huge issue. Anything as well, remember, just on a sloped block with stairs. I want to check in with property managers in the area to see what my clientele is. I want to be able to see if this is a spot where older people are living, am I counting myself out from a lot of people to potentially rent here because I've got 20, 30 stairs to the front door? Something that you will not know just from online. You need to talk to people that are on the ground. Apart from that slope, the house itself looks pretty tidy, has just like it's investment grade, so to call it. Like it's neat, tidy, it does the job. Floor plan's fine, no huge issues or blunders in the photography that I can see. But my biggest issue is going to be the data. Here, I do not have confidence on this market at all. There are no implications. There is no indication that there is any demand to buy in this area. And if no one wants to buy there and it is so unaffordable, which could be why no one's buying there, how can house prices in this area grow? Remember as well, we are located on top of that. Just where we're located, like people, I wouldn't assume are living in Dorrigo and going up to Coffs. People that are in Coffs are living in these sorts of, satellite sort of towns and commuting to Coffs. But here, an hour out, I mean, what is the pull to be living out there in Dorrigo? I'm sure it's a lovely town. I've got nothing against the town, but we're property investors and we're making an investment. So my question to the person that sent this in is why and what is the data confidence that you have? What is the reason why you would buy in Dorrigo and what data supports that? Take away all your stereotypes and take away all your preconceived notions about the area. The data is sort of telling me in this particular instance there's not a lot of supply, but there's also no demand. If I also go to real estate, Yeah, rents are incredibly low as well. There's only three suburbs. There's only three houses up for rent. Two on the same road. 4 bedroom for $390. So if you're trying to buy a house as well, so you're not really getting anything here. You're not getting growth and growth without the cash flow part with the low yield. You're not getting a good yield. You're not getting any indication of rent. So for me, it's a no deal. Would I buy it? No, I wouldn't. There are definitely better options in New South Wales for a 650 typical price. If you disagree, if you had questions, let me know in the comments. But always, I'll see you guys tomorrow.